My name is Zoe. I'm a menopause food nutrition and EFT therapist. I again lived experiences for me. I have qualified with Meg, and I've also got my therapy qualification in EFT. But for me, it was just a case of COVID hit, and this is just like on coming to the other side. And I kind of started noticing things were just changing. Like I just felt a little bit off or just not myself anymore. And I started gay, and a lot of women will, will be able to, resonate with this. But it was like this little odd bit of weight gain that I never had before. So it was kind of coming around my tummy area, which I kind of thought maybe that's just because we've all been eating a lot of banana bread over COVID. Maybe it's like, it's just not being as active as much. And then I started noticing skin changes. I've always had really clear skin, and all of a sudden I'm getting these patchy brown marks on my face, and just thinking things just don't feel like 100% right. So I went to the doctor, and I thought, let me just go and get like this 40-year-old health check thing done. And I went in and I told my doctor my symptoms. Now I wasn't as lucky as Liz. At the time I was living in London, NHS is very, very stretched. I walked in and automatically I thought, am I just being silly? Like, am I imagining this? Maybe it's just all in my head. And my doctor, unfortunately, kind of just said to me I got a case of, well, if you think you're perimenopausal, and that's it. If you're getting the symptoms, then well, then you are. And I kind of left feeling more confused and not knowing what to do than before I'd gone into the surgery. Then I started doing my own research, and I started looking into things a little bit more, symptoms, what I was getting, how this would be linking to perimenopause. I'm too young to go through perimenopause. I'm 40 years old. Like this is not this can't be right. And I started doing some research and started finding out, like Liz said earlier, it is ethnic minority women can actually start displaying perimenopausal symptoms from the age of 35. And if you've got that background, sometimes us ladies are missing out on information and knowing these facts, because we're just thinking, again, I'm run down, I'm tired, the kids are just being a handful, family pressures, it could be anything. So that kind of made me stop in my tracks a little bit. I need to do some more research. I need to understand what's going on in my body, because obviously, I don't want, for me personally, I couldn't go down the medical route of getting HRT because I suffered really badly with birth control in my earlier years. So for me to put any kind of hormones in my body, I did not feel probably be the right move for me. So I decided to pivot and look at a more holistic approach. And that holistic approach was looking at my diet. What am I eating on a day-to-day basis that can, number one, what can I add to my diet that can help me manage certain symptoms? And what should I start maybe restricting, not from a weight perspective or calorie counting or anything like that. It was more of a, if I'm going to eat something, I need to add some more protein into it. I need to add a bit more fiber into it. I need to start adding omegas into it and some berries and and it was almost like, what am I going to be able to add, not take away, because I don't want to go down that hole of, we as women, we spend a lot of our lives restricting ourselves. Oh, I've got to look a certain way. This wasn't about that. This is about, what can I add that's actually going to benefit my body? Because you may notice things like your gut changes, your gut, there's certain things you can't eat now that you might have been able to eat before, but your body doesn't want to tolerate it as much anymore. And it's just about being aware of things like that. And that's where, so I decided to specialize more in the food and nutrition side of it. And then, so that was the physical, but then it was the case of, there's also a whole, psychological, your nervous system, all that gets shot as well. So anxiety, stress, worry, feelings of maybe not feeling as great as you once did, because you are changing and you are going through a transition. So then it almost became like, I need to find something to maybe manage that side of it as well. So for me, EFT, emotional freedom technique, has played a massive role. And I could see, I thought, let me just go and little dabble in it and see if it actually would be something that would help me. Um, and after doing a few rounds and learning a little bit about it, for me, it's been a game changer. So I decided to qualify as an EFT therapist so I could, again, share that information with other women. So whether you are on HRT, it's a personal choice. You can do, whatever works for you. But also, being aware of what you're eating, adding in this, emotional freedom technique, these other holistic methods as well also can play a huge role in helping you manage symptoms, get to know yourself, and sometimes delve a little bit deeper. We've gone to this stage now. I'm going to be 45 this year. I know that I need to understand myself a little bit better. And like Liz was saying, the boundaries change and your conversations that you have now will change and you become, you know, I now have labeled it as the 2.0 version of myself. I refuse to go, this, oh, it's so bad. And it's like, yeah, it's hard. It's a transition. We are transitioning all the time, but we have to look at the positives of it and think, I am number one, so thankful to be in a position where I'm able to be at this age because many women don't get here. And when you do get here, you have to look after yourself and you have to protect yourself and you have to make sure you're okay for yourself. And it's not just perimenopause symptoms. A lot of women will then think, well, I've had my menopause now. I'm 1 year period free. I'm done with it. And that's not the case either. That education is not there, and that information is not there to show that actually then you hit post menopause, which you then have to look after your bone health, you have to look after your brain health, you have to look after your heart health. We're living longer, and we need to make sure that we're protecting ourselves for our future self. So what we start doing today will help us as we get older. We'll be there to look after us as we reach those older ages as well. It's great getting older, but you want to be a healthy version of yourself at that time as well. Um, and like me, like the other, three ladies that are here today, we're very passionate about spreading that information, spreading the word, letting people know that, opening those lines of communication, offering that support, that lived experience. Every woman, you know, there's a billion women worldwide going through menopause at this moment, and we are nowhere near meeting the standard that we should be meeting to make sure those needs are being met. Um, menopause support is not just for the elite or just for the people who can afford it or just for people who can access it. It should be something that is available to every woman, regardless of where she comes from or how old she is or what language she speaks. I mean, everything should be accessible. And those lines, like I said, those lines of communication have to be opened and it has to be, it's not a medication or nothing. If you're not going to take this, then you have to suffer in silence. That's not fair. So, finding ways to make yourself help yourself manage those symptoms, be able to talk to people, be able to say how you're feeling and talk to your family and let them understand that, I'm not feeling too great today. I do that with my husband all the time now. Some days I'll wake up and I'll just say, I haven't slept good last night, and I don't think today's going to be a good day. It's almost like I don't even make apologies for it anymore. I'm tired and I need to sleep. I'm tired. I need to sleep. I will not make apologies for it. Whereas before, I would be thinking, push through, push through, push through. I've got elderly parents, and I've got children. You're running around for everybody else, but the last person on the pecking order is often yourself. And I think that has to change. If you're struggling, you need to be able to say that, I'm struggling and I need to just have a little bit of time to myself, and kind of get to where I need to get to. But like I said, food, nutrition, just having the right things in, it just makes such simple sense when you think about it. It's like what we put into our bodies affects our bodies, right? So if you know that you're adding stuff that's going to help you, it changes, your mood, your blood sugar, our muscle mass will change now as the estrogen starts to drop. And it's things like protein, adding that protein in, making sure you're making those conscious decisions to add the right foods in. Um, things like your chia seeds in your water, and just little tip, little hints that really make a huge difference. Liz was saying about magnesium. I cannot live without magnesium spray. It's literally been my, it's like it's my bedtime partner. It's, spray it on the bottom of your feet. The spray I find particularly helps because it absorbs straight away. But if you're getting cramps in your legs and if you get joint pain, people aren't going to tell you these things unless you ask or unless you comes up in conversation. So these things I think are really little things you can do that can just really help in your day to day. And just, like I said, the EFT is fantastic. You can go on and have a look, set your intention of what you're feeling that particular time. And I say it from personal experience. I've had moments where I could very easily spiral. It could be something quite small, and then it kind of builds up throughout the day or builds up throughout that time. And I have now learned to manage that when things just when I feel like I'm getting to a point where, you know, we all know the menopause rage, or the that anxiety kicks in when you've got to do something. All of a sudden you're feeling anxious, or you can feel a hot flush or something coming along. Just being able to manage it before it hits a place where it's quite difficult to come back down from. So the EFT definitely, if you want any more information about that, I'm happy to give, but it really does kind of regulate that nervous system, just so you're giving yourself a bit of a reset, and you're just kind of getting yourself back in check again. But these things need to be talked about and they need to be discussed. And, thank you, Scott, for then having the platforms like this where we can share information and we can, talk about things that are, every woman's experience is going to be different. There is no two women who will say, yep, it will be some women will glide through the transition like nothing's happened. Like I think most women in our older generations think they did do, but they actually didn't, but they think they did. And some women will get every single symptom that is there, and it's just a matter of being able to manage it. And most of all, the only main thing I would say is just be kind to yourself. You would never talk to somebody the way you sometimes talk to yourself, right? So it's so important to just be kind, just love yourself. This is your 2.0 version, and you've really got to look after her, nourish her, and protect her, and let go whatever doesn't serve her. So, I hope that's just, giving you a little bit of insight into what I do. But ladies, we are there, and we've got to change things for our girls in the later generations as well. So, thank you.